I'm sure you guys are like familiar with like the cases where people are just like, can you do this for exposure or whatever like that.
Yeah.
That's never healthy. So I mean like selectively healthy.
Welcome
To the Tropical Arts Club. This is the show where we bring guests like this guy behind the plants, who is one of my best friends on the planet, to share cool tips and tricks and advice and stories and life hacks about being an artist in Singapore.
I'm really excited about this show because a lot of the questions about how being an artist works in the corporate world have not been answered yet, and so we hope to answer some of those questions. All right, John,
Yeah,
let's do your secret
we're gonna do our thing, and so we care a lot about the guests that come on our show. So, Nick, are you hungry?
I'm afraid of what you guys are gonna do if I answer either way. So no answer.
Oh, you're hungry, Nick? What's that?
Did you say you are hungry?
Let's get you some carbs.
I can already tell this is gonna be stupid.
Whoa, what is that? Did you just pull banana out of your shirt?
Yes, I did.
Would you like a banana, Nick?
Or two.
Not if it came under a shirt. No offense.
All right, let's just put that down here and introduce today's guest. Today's guest is one of my best friends in the world. He and I have gone through a lot.
Non-sexual things.
Non-sexual
Sometimes
things.
sexual.
This man behind these plants is a senior content strategist at Clicker Media, and what he does is work with creatives much like yourself, putting your creative powers with the needs of brands and creating what they call marketing. Introducing the man behind the plant, Nicholas Chen.
Ah,
Finally.
Welcome to the
Plant's
show,
going
Nick.
down.
You can just put them
We
down.
finally meet Nicholas.
I'm gonna
That's
keep
right.
one.
You're gonna keep one. Okay.
Okay.
Would you like
Near
to
my
name
bush
the,
area.
Would you like to name the plant?
Jonaclus?
Joniclus.
Oh,
It's
okay.
our baby.
Jonaclus.
All right, so Nick, let's get into the serious questions that you are here for.
Alright.
Right, so Nick, we know that you started your professional life as a student in the Culinary Institute of America. And I recall vividly this story of why you chose not to pursue a culinary career. Could you share that with us?
Yeah, so in culinary school, right? At my culinary school, at least, like we work in the kitchen a lot. So there was a playground basically outside the kitchen I worked, and every day I heard like children playing outside. So there was one particular day I was like burning my hands peeling potatoes, because like for mashed potatoes you gotta peel them hot, right? That's how you get them well made.
Life hack one.
Yeah, life hack one. And then I thought to myself, do I really want to do this for the next like 10 years or whatever it is, you know, slaving away in the kitchen while like children are literally playing and laughing outside? And yeah, the answer was no. So I started like think of escape plan, so to speak. And the only other thing I could do relatively well was write. So I decided, okay, shit, I'm just gonna put like these two things together, like my knowledge of food from school and writing together, and I got a gig as a food writer at the Smart Local. Yeah.
Shout out to TSL.
And how was that like, your experience working as a food writer?
It was good, mostly. I had a lot of free food. Yeah, you pull out a lot of it. Yeah, like you go to these restaurants and like there's going to be like a bunch of journalists or like influencers, and you sit down and you eat like a lot of free food. You're gonna take like I didn't know how to take pictures, so like that was one of the things that like I had to learn on the job, like how to take fucking pictures and how to work like a DSLR, that kind of stuff. So that came in like a little bit handy afterwards. But I think in general, yeah, it was quite a fun time for the first maybe a year or so. I enjoyed myself. You kind of eat a lot of things that you wouldn't normally eat, so that was really fun. But I think after about a year or so, I kind of got really bored about writing about food.
Mm.
Yeah, in Singapore, it's like a lot of listicles, you know, and I had like the same moment I had in the kitchen, right? Like, do I really want to Google myself in next 5-10 years maybe and see my name next to a review of a Hello Kitty cafe? Then I thought about it for a while. I was like, no, I can't really do this anymore. So it was a bit of I had a bit of an existential midlife crisis. Not even mid lah, like quarter lah.
Yeah, you're not that old.
How
Right.
old are you?
I struggle with this question. 28, I think. 27 or 28. I was born in 91. Like after 21, like who cares how old you are, right? Until you're like 60 or something, so you can withdraw your CPF. Right?
Mm-hmm. Getting
Or 55, yeah. But, yeah, who cares?
It ain't 55. By the time it's our turn, I think it'll be like
94.
yeah, 94. 94 sounds about right.
Once we unlock the secret of life,
Yeah.
the fountain of wealth, the fountain of youth, yes.
Or wealth.
Oh wow.
Wealth,
Oh,
yeah,
both.
yeah.
Shout out to CPF. Yeah.
CPF. Log on to find out more about CPF statement at cpf.gov.sg. I think that's the site.
I'm not sure if it's accurate. We're also
And
not
have
sponsored.
you filed? Make
Yeah.
sure you
File your taxes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right. It's
yeah.
April tax season.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
But we're launching a show in May, so.
That's right. Wow.
You're
So
late.
we hope you.
Yeah, you're late. You're late. File your taxes in the past month. Maybe
Okay.
let's move on to the next
Yes.
question. Yeah, let's do that.
Taxes?
So
Yeah, taxes
can you
are
tell us
horrible.
more about what you do now? Because I'm really curious.
What I
about-
do now.
Hmm.
Okay, so after TSL, I kind of decided, okay, I wanted more of a challenge, and I didn't really want to work with just food. So I said, okay, what's the next best place I could go to that wasn't a publication because I didn't really like doing publication stuff, and that was advertising. So I got into startup, the content startup. So we basically, okay, it's kind of complicated. It's called Bolt. So basically, Bolt sells a system where it's like a content management system where you can hire writers and like writers can kind of do everything there. It's like a blog spot, but you can also hire writers on it. And companies use that to like create their own blogs and have like a really nice content and stuff like that. So I was there and I helped to recruit writers and also write some of the content when we couldn't find the writers. So yeah, that was the whole job. It was tough because when I went in, I didn't have any experience with marketing. Like I went to culinary school, so like I didn't know shit. Like compared to like what SMU kids or like NUS kids who like breathed on like business school or whatever. Like I didn't know anything. I know like 4 or 5 P's of marketing. I don't even know how many P's there are in marketing. So
Peas?
yeah, like
we don't even know.
price,
maybe.
product placement,
Potatoes?
potatoes, pornography. I don't know. Yeah. So
You're supposed to be a professional. That's why we brought you on.
Oh.
okay, yeah. Google that shit. So that's how you get good at your job. Google, kinda.
Shout out to Google.
Shout out Google. Google.com.sg or whatever where you are at.
They're probably watching you anyway.
Yeah.
You're helping to build the next AI that will control our universe.
Let's welcome our machine overlords. Right, where were we
Okay.
at? Okay.
Organic life.
Organic. Wait,
This is
no.
not even organic life, it's
Yeah,
plastic.
That's a fake plant, so if
Okay.
we mistreat it, don't feel too bad.
Okay. So
Alright.
you were learning about marketing,
Yeah.
and then.
Oh yeah, it was really tough, and then I had to kind of like pick up all the skills along the way, and I did a lot of courses online. I read a lot on my own. I read a lot of books as well, so I started to learn more about content marketing back in the day and stuff like that. That was when content marketing was still picking up, so there wasn't exactly a lot of guidance outside of like I didn't really have any guidance basically. I was just like online reading a lot of shit. And then I slowly like learned the skills and developed them as we got more clients and we start getting a lot more work, and I started building from there and learning how to like build these content strategies and things like that, all the different steps and whatnot. Yeah, and then it kind of okay, so I was there at first at Bolt as an intern for about 6 months, and they offered me a full-time position after that. But the thing is, I was like so not ready for that position. Like at a startup, right? It's like, okay, the thing about startups is like there's a few people. There's not gonna be enough people to do the work, so you kind of have to work like overtime. You have to take up like multiple responsibilities. It's not just like, I'm just going to stick here and write. But you kind of have to like manage the clients as well, be the account manager, all that kind of stuff. So Yeah, it's quite demanding if you work on in a startup. The good thing about working in a startup though is like you get to learn a lot at your own pace, and you're kind of forced to learn at a very accelerated rate, right? Put you into all these positions because they don't have a choice. Yeah. I think that's the same way for like smaller boutique agencies. So okay, when it comes to agencies, they're like the small ones, like a lot of them are like the local ones, smaller teams and stuff like that. So those small agencies will probably get you to like work harder and like do a lot more things just because they have limited manpower. But for like bigger agencies like your Ogilvy's and all that stuff, like usually you tend to stick to like one client and like work on that client for like a year or whatever that contract period is. You know, like I have friends who work for DBS accounts for like years. Yeah, essentially just writing for DBS. So there's like a difference there. If you're wondering whether you should join like a small agency or a big agency, yeah, that's the difference. Small agencies, you're probably gonna get like more exposure in terms of like the clients you're working with. So my current agency is more mid-size. So we're not exactly super small, we're not like huge either. So I do handle like quite a few clients, but my job scope is quite pronounced. Like I know where it stops and I know where it ends. So I'm not picking up like things like account management and stuff like that. Yeah, that's not my dicey. Yeah, that's not my stuff. Yeah. So anyway, back to Bolt. Yeah, I got employed full time, and then it was a bit too much for me. So I eventually they kind of just like sat me down and said like, hey Nick, like we need you to perform at this level. But I didn't know how to perform at that level, or like you know I wasn't willing to like put in the amount of hours they did because like they were startup and they were the founders of the company, you know. So I think they put in a lot of hard work and sweat and tears into it. I wasn't willing to go that deep, so I just said my goodbyes, and then I joined my current agency. Yeah, but in the time that I was there, I did really learn a lot, and I think it pays to like put yourself in a position where you're kind of forced to like accelerate your growth in a way. Yeah, and that really I think gave me the fundamentals and a bit of the experience I needed to land my current job. Yeah, and even at my current job, I'm still learning. So that's the thing about digital, right? Like there's always new stuff coming up. There's always new trends. There's always new platforms that are coming out, like TikTok, whatever it is. You kind of have to learn everything, and the learning never stops. Yeah,
Learning for life.
Lifelong learning.
.gov.sg.
Yeah, Lifelong Learning Institute.
And what's the one for digital? imda.gov.sg.
IMDA.
Is it MD?
That
I don't know.
MDMA is the controlled
MDMA is a
substance.
drug. Yeah.
Yes.
IMDA is the one that sends.
Don't take drugs,
all
kids.
the-
Stay
Stay
away
in
from drugs.
school.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to
Yeah.
your story.
All right.
Nick, at what point did it kind of occur to you that the job was too much?
Okay, so basically, like it was a startup, right? So the founders and the people who were there were very invested in the company, and they put in a lot of hours and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and whatever. But I'm not. I'm like an outsider that was employed to do something, and I had a lot of work to do. And because of my ADHD thing, it was kind of hard for me to like edit so many articles a day and keep on task and on track with everything else. And it was really overwhelming for me. And coupled with the fact that I just like started out in the industry, so I didn't really know much about anything, and I didn't know how to help them with some of the deeper issues as well, or like the more complex clients. I just didn't know what to do. So at the end, we kind of just decided, hey, we should probably part ways for the betterment of like both of the companies, like me and the company. So I needed to get more experience, and they needed somebody with more experience to help them get from point A to point B. And I think they're doing really well now, so that's really good. And just to clarify, they did give me a lot of chances and stuff like that. I fucked up, but I wouldn't say fucked up, but yeah, I fucked up. But you know, growing pains, you live and learn, and things like that. And it gave me a really good opportunity to like learn all that stuff, right? You always want to put yourself in like that position where you're forced to accelerate your learning, and in a place like a startup is a really good place to do that. Yeah, so but don't expect to go home like every day and like, you know, have time to catch Netflix or whatever. It's kind of like when I was working at that agency, at the end of the day I was just like, well, I just gotta go to sleep.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Dang.
So that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Quick note, ADHD is not a government agency. It stands for.
Attention deficit and hyperactive disorder.
And what
What she said.
happens when you have ADHD?
Basically, I find it difficult to focus, and that's why I make a lot of typos and spelling mistakes in my stuff. That can be easily fixed with what do you call that?
Spell check?
Spell
Yeah.
check, yeah,
Mm.
Grammarly, things like that. The only thing is sometimes I forget to switch from like UK English to US English, because some of our clients have different requirements. So I fuck up there, but like my account managers are there to catch me when I do. So yeah, I think working at like having your team understand you and be accommodating to you is really helpful as well. I think in my new agency, our team is really well put together, so we work well with each other. I help them cover some stuff, they help me cover some stuff, you know. It's great working with them.
So I was wondering, for those individuals out there who have ADHD or maybe other conditions that may hinder their working in the creative industry or any industry really, what kind of advice do you have for them to thrive?
Right. I think like it doesn't mean you're gonna be bad at your job, especially if you're in like the creative field. They tend to be a bit more creative, you know. Their mind wanders all the time, and like thinking about different things and whatnot. So yeah, I think actually it is kind of a good feel for you guys. It's just finding an environment that accepts it and accommodates it. The advertising industry is quite demanding, so sometimes they require you to work like super long hours and things like that. But I think finding an agency that understands and respects work-life balance, especially if you have that kind of condition, like you need a break, you know, you definitely find some place that accommodates to your style. And I think I'm very lucky to find my current agency where everything works out fine. They're not asking me to stay to like 11 or whatever like that, and they're quite flexible what I do. I can work like from a cafe sometimes, not all the time, but like as when I don't have meetings or whatever. So I think that's great.
And what do you think people who hire individuals with these conditions can change or do to make the working environment better?
I guess being flexible is a big one. So sometimes in my my office, because it kind of works like a co-working space. Like we are under actually a bigger company called the Loken Group. So there are a lot of other companies, other subsidiaries in that space, and it can get really hectic and really noisy. So sometimes it's difficult for me to focus. So I'll just like tell my boss, hey, I'm going down to the Starbucks, or I'm going down to like a cafe. It's just somewhere quieter to like do my work. And like as long as I don't have any meetings for that day, they're usually cool with it. I also have like work from home days, like twice a month, so that's like better than nothing. So I think employers can just be a bit more flexible and understanding about these kind of things. But I know why it's difficult for some of them to not pull that trigger, just because like as an agency you want to be there like 24/7 or like during office hours at least for your client, and you can't afford somebody to like just wander off sometimes. But maybe that's not the place that, if you have ADHD, maybe that's not an environment that you want to be in. Yeah, that's not healthy for you. If it's not healthy for you, to get out. Yeah.
Dang, if it's not healthy for
For
you,
get out.
I think it's time to take a break. We're gonna take a quick break and we will be back back shortly.
Shortly.
See ya! This episode of the Tropical Arts Club is sponsored by
Let's get fit!
Welcome back to the Tropical Arts Club.
Okay, so we're gonna get deep into the questions that I am really, really curious about, and that I think it's important to share with young creatives who are just coming out of school and who might be working freelance for corporations. Because let's be real, sometimes doing your art full time isn't gonna pay the bills, and most often we start off with working with corporations in commercial work. So, Nicholas,
Yes.
the first question I have is you hire a lot of writers.
Yeah,
or used to.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And designers.
And you used to be a writer yourself too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you kind of have a lot of experience with hiring creative
Yeah.
people. And I wonder if brands actually like working with artists.
I think they all do. Just because they can't do the things that a creative folks do, that's why employees in the first place. The question really gonna ask is, do they like you enough to pay you? Yeah, because I'm sure you guys are like familiar with like the cases where people are just like, can you do this for exposure or whatever like that.
Yeah.
That's never healthy. So I mean like selectively healthy. Let me explain that further on later. Yeah, like I said, like agencies really thrive on this kind of stuff, so they're happy to hire you. You just have to showcase what you can do, and like I said, sometimes that means building a portfolio first, and you need to have at least a few things that's published so that they feel comfortable hiring you. So you have to understand that for agencies, it's very important for us to minimize risk when we hire creatives. Like, is this person going to deliver the quality I need for this particular client? And what's the potential downside, right? If I hire you, I still have to pay you even if you do a shitty job. So then it becomes like, oh, I need to hire a writer for like even less budget now after you screwed up. So for us, it's kind of like, I need to see something. I can't just hire you out of nowhere. And if you're published, that's even better. So to get published, it's quite simple actually. You just need to like volunteer a few pieces at your favorite publications or whatever, like or something like that. Just write an email to the editor like, hey, I want to contribute an article, maybe for free even. Most editors will kind of like pay you a little bit at least. Have some work on hand. So even if you just like write it yourself for like a blog or like a school assignment or whatever, if it's written in a journalistic way, that's fine. I think I applied for TSL with like a food review I wrote for like school, and also another essay I wrote for school. So yeah, and I write a killer cover letter. You're a writer, right? So write a freaking cover letter. Like as long as I get emails from these writers and it's just like resumes. Like, you're a writer, show me that you can write.
What do you look for in a killer resume, like a killer cover letter?
I'm looking for, first of all, I need the letter to flow well. Like, it's not super abrupt cuts here and there, and like cohesive flow of like information. Sometimes I don't know why writers can. Some of the writers, the letters that I get are very all over the place. Flow and style is one thing I really look at, especially when it comes to like lifestyle writing. I think the ones that really like rise to the top are the ones that can deliver information in a very stylish and personable way, like conversational. And it's not very like fact, but it's facts interwoven with like a particular style. Like I can tell that it's you who's writing. So if you're asking me like creatively, where your creative input is, it's in finding that writing style. Yeah, and that takes time to develop, I guess. What I used to do is, I've been doing it since I was like a tiny kid. I always read like video game reviews and stuff like that. because I was a kid and I didn't have enough money to buy all the games, so I had to buy the good games only. So I read a lot of reviews, and I think that's where I got a lot of my writing background from, just like reading these reviews, learning the way like these guys describe stuff and speak. And I just write like I speak. Yeah, write like you speak. That's another thing. Especially for lifestyle. Even for like B2B stuff, sometimes you want to have something very conversational, not super formal. Doesn't really work nowadays unless you're writing, I don't know, something super corporate. That's different, you know. Use your intuition or that kind of stuff. Yeah, common sense. That's another big one. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Alright, so I'm just wondering, so someone just comes out of school, like John. He's like
Uh-huh.
fresh faced, he wants to become a
Not that fresh. Yeah.
okay. Fresh faced, he wants to become this aspiring writer. He comes out of school, he's looking for a job, and how should he start the process of becoming an incredible writer?
Okay. First of all, you need to know what you're gonna write. Okay. So develop a portfolio around that. So let's say you want to write about food or whatever, right? Start like reading books about food. Educate yourself on that subject, and then start writing a few articles, just on your own blog or something. Just create a portfolio first, and then you can start approaching like all these publications and be like, hey, this is what I wrote. Do you think I can get like a position? It's easier to ask for like an internship first. Yeah. Even though you just graduated, like you want to get a job, whatever, but it's much easier for you to get accepted as an intern just because like it's lower risk for that company, and they have like that kind of 6 month probation period to see what you're capable of. And for you personally, it's like to see if it, like that place is the right fit for you, and that's what you really should be doing. Yeah, so definitely build that portfolio. And yeah, if you need to kind of like write a couple of pieces for free, do it. I would say don't do it so much that it becomes like a norm for you, but like just do it enough so that you can establish a portfolio. Or take like some shitty jobs. Like when I first started, there was this guy who offered to like pay me $20 to write an article, and I was like okay to take it, you know, because I was like so desperate to like build out that portfolio. But thankfully, I was like hired at TSL before like that happened. So yeah.
If I could chime in on this as well, like a good place to build your portfolio is with brands that you are somehow related to. Let's say your dad's friend runs a cafe, or you know your friend's mom is a florist. Just do something for them. They might not actually use it for their business, but to the eyes of someone who is looking for you, you look more legit.
Yeah, and I think the more you do this kind of thing, it also shows your commitment to like the craft. And I think good employers will also look out for that. Like you're enthusiastic and you have the initiative to approach them first. Yeah. Rather than just like waiting to be fed the opportunity. Especially if they haven't posted like an ad or anything like that. I'll be like, okay, this person, you know, is like eager, and like maybe I do need some help after all. Trust me, agencies mostly need your help.
Everybody
Yeah.
are currently looking for intern.
See? Like most companies are always looking for help. It's just whether like, you know, they want to take a risk on, you know, paying somebody, because it's expensive to hire in Singapore. Still to pay like 20% in CPF, and then like the 50% markup. Yeah, the CPF employee top up. So hard. So you come in as an intern is best.
Okay, so getting into the part that I think is very important for young people is how do you know the line between how much free stuff that you're gonna do, how much cheap rates are you gonna take for your work? How do you kind of negotiate that as a young creative?
How do you know what you're worth before someone tells you how much you're worth?
Yeah.
Tricky question. I would say like just do 2 or 3 pieces to establish that portfolio. Especially if you're like shifting to a new industry. Like you've never written about, if you've always written about fashion and you've never written about food, then you do want to have like those few pieces that show that you can write about food. And for that, I think you can charge like a cheap rate. But anything beyond 3 or 5 pieces is too much. Yeah. Unless your writing is, I'm sorry to say it, that bad, then it's like, yeah, and then it's like $50. Like I can hire you from Fiverr and I don't see a difference kind. Then that's a bit. Then you need to do some reflecting and think like, okay, where can you improve? Then you need to like look up some of your favorite writers or look at some of the more successful publications in that area that you're going for, and try to see what kind of style they're writing in and try to emulate it and adapt it and make it your own. Yeah.
So for our viewers who are wondering how cheap is cheap, how cheap are we talking?
Sometimes you do it for free. It's just a sad fact. Like, don't do it all the time for free. Like I said, just like 2 or 3. But make sure it gets published. Don't like do it for free and then it doesn't turn up anyway. And that's like a lose-lose situation for you guys, right? Yeah, that's about how I would answer
I
that.
have a question, and maybe you can answer it, or you can answer it. It just came to my head. But sometimes, when you have a charity or a non-profit approach you to do work, I personally feel like I have to reduce my price, or I feel like, oh, it's for a good cause. But then as a creative person, this is basically your rice bowl, your work, your salary. How would you negotiate then taking work from those kinds of organizations?
Okay, so personally, I have worked with like non-profits and that kind of stuff before, and I did it for free. I did consulting for them. I did it because I was like part of that like community. So it wasn't that hard for me to like just do it, because that was my ultimate goal. Like at the end of the day, after being in advertising and everything like that, working for the evil corporations, like I do want to like use these skills that I've learned from the evil corporations to put it in like a non-profit, but I want to earn my money first. Yeah, I think it's a personal choice. Like how well are you willing to like invest in this like charity, right, that you want to maybe do it for free, or like what kind of reduced rate are you looking at? Maybe if you want to barter, you could also, these places actually for non-profits, they kind of have connections with everything. Maybe if like they can pass you some referrals, that kind of thing, that's also good. And again, look at it as a way to kind of build your portfolio. Maybe try to do it, worst case scenario, like do it once, and maybe next time you're like, hey, I kind of need a little kickback. Maybe a little bit lah. I mean, it's a non-profit, so you kind of feel bad like charging them full price and like scaling up and everything like that. But if you're starving that month, then yes, charge something. But if you're not and you're willing to like kind of just put in the extra work, and it's volunteerism in a way, right? So put that down in your LinkedIn profile as well. You volunteer somewhere. And I think it also, at the end of the day, reflects on your resume, right? That you're willing to do all these kind of things. It's not just about the money for you, but about spreading a message, about doing something good in the world. And I think that's valuable to the right employer.
Speaking of LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile is pretty darn effective. And I know it has led to you getting some pretty juicy job offers just off of existing on the internet.
Yeah.
Any tips for young people looking to get a leg up on the LinkedIn game?
Keywords. So there's something called SEO that you need to be aware of. Okay, yeah, just like a segue, like for writers as well, I think it's very important if you want to, especially if you're looking at like entering advertising, right? You cannot just be a copywriter. You need to do something else. Whether you can also take pictures or shoot video, that kind of thing. Because right now the reality is I can hire a copywriter for like $5 on Fiverr in the Philippines somewhere, and they will produce something serviceable, and yeah, that sucks for copywriters, but you gotta pick up some new skills, man. Like whether it's video shooting, the hot ones right now are, listen close, data science. So if you know how to interpret data, analytics is another one. So all the Facebook posts that you're writing and stuff like that, right? how well they're doing and why. You need to be able to know this kind of stuff. So there are courses out there for you. Take them. Yeah.
What courses would this be?
Free ones from HubSpot. Facebook has their own certification as well. Oh, and if you know how to run the background ads, like setting up campaigns and things like that, and Google Analytics, those kind of stuff, they all, like, Google has a free thing that you can kind of sign on and just get all the information that you need. I think the certification costs separately, but it's not really necessary. I think as long as you know how to demonstrate the knowledge that you have. Yeah, and another big one is SEO. Yes, SEO. So especially if you're into content writing, that's another one that a lot of agencies will ask for or corporates will ask for when they approach a writer. Is like, do you know how to write for SEO? And basically it means search engine optimization. It means how do you write an article in a way that it's easy and for Google to pick up. So let's say you're writing an article about like top 10 best sneakers to get in Singapore, right? How do you get it to rank on Google when somebody is searching like best sneakers in Singapore? Yeah, so all this kind of stuff, it's a value add. I think it will increase your chances of getting employed more. Yeah. Yeah. So what was the original question again?
Oh,
Sorry,
your
my
LinkedIn.
Your
Yeah.
link.
Okay. So basically, I use like a lot of SEO hacks. I put in a lot of keywords. So like things like digital marketing, digital marketer, content marketing, that kind of thing. So when people search on LinkedIn for like content marketers, or they're looking for a specific role, they'll find me. Like I'm like one of the first few to appear. Yeah. Admittedly, I don't really update my LinkedIn profile as much. Ideally, if you're really like hungry for jobs or whatever, you'll be producing content on LinkedIn as well. So like maybe for me as a content marketer, I could be writing a lot of thought pieces on what I think about content in Singapore right now, or like how to produce better content to get more shares, things like that. So those kind of articles that you write to showcase your expertise, use it as like kind of a way to like connect with your mentors as well. If you want to follow like certain people in agencies, things like that, do so, because they share some really interesting stuff sometimes, and you'll pick up a few things here and there from them, even on just like on LinkedIn, the good ones especially.
And LinkedIn.com. If you wanna,
Yeah, man. Actually, there's a LinkedIn office in Singapore.
Ooh, yeah. LinkedIn Singapore, we know you're watching. We hope you're
Sponsors.
watching.
Sponsors.
Sponsor us.
If you are interested.
Exactly. And with that, we have come to the end of this very, very, very juicy tip-filled episode with Nicholas Chin. And something we do for our guests is we give you a 30-second spot to plug whatever you want to plug, and then we will help re-perform that plug through the power of song and dance. So is there anything you would like to spread the word about?
You guys can plug me, my Instagram handle, Invader Nick.
How do we
At
spell that?
Invader Nick. INVADERNICK.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that all you wanna? You still got like 10 seconds on clock.
Oh, and also GUI, Ground Up Initiatives. They're doing some really good work, building a community in the kampong spirit, so to speak. And they're doing a lot of cool stuff there. Like they have a farm, they teach people carpentry, woodworking, stuff like that. They have basically a limited lifespan right now because like the lease is going up, and they're trying to get renewed. So if you guys could like attend the events, like offer some donations, whatever you can, definitely do it. It's
Ground Up Initiative. We're gonna put the link here. This one for
Oh.
real, click it.
Yeah.
And now I guess we do our thing.
Yes.
All right.
Or Ground Up Initiative.
But first, his Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Gimme and
Invader Nick.
INVADERNICK.
Hey, dance break.
Da da
Dance
da
break.
da da.
Smile.
And the Ground Up Initiative. They have woodworking classes and other fun things, and they need your support.
So go and and donate now.
We really need musical guests on this show. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Tropical Arts Club. Once again, this has been Nicholas Chin. Follow him on Instagram at InvaderNick. And can they DM questions? Can our audience DM questions if they've got questions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Or
Slide
if
in
you
his DMs.
think this man is a handsome one.
We've been told we look alike, so please think he's handsome. That's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe. We hope you enjoyed the first episode of the Tropical Arts Club. If you'd like to catch more episodes, be sure to hit subscribe and don't forget to follow us on Instagram.